I'm hoping that this workshop adds a little bit of clarity for those next steps. And I know you know a little bit about what you want to do, so hopefully it adds some motivation towards having you actually go do it. Because it's one thing to know, right? It's one thing to do. So today we are going to be focused on knowing, but I want to keep in mind that there are action steps that can be associated with this, and maybe there's some homework for yourself after this workshop to hold, basically hold yourself accountable for taking some next steps. And there's an activity that I'll email to you at the end of this workshop that might help with that too. So you guys ready to get started?
Yes.
Some nods? Okay, awesome. So I'm going to be moving like the videos and stuff to the other side of the screen in the chat. So if there is something that you really, if you have a question or something's kind of top of mind for you, throw it in the chat. I will get to it. I will see it. And if I keep looking over to the left, it's because I'm looking at your faces. Okay, so I'm not looking at anything else, because that kind of brings me to our first point that I want to make, is that focus. What is the focus? What is the intention that you're going to bring to the event today? We have a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the world. And right now, up to this point in your day, like, there's a ton of stuff that probably happened. Can we at least say, for the next 45 minutes or so, 50 minutes or so, that we're just going to put that in a nice little box? We're going to open up a door. We're going to step through that door and really just focus on gaining some clarity on what we want to do next for our career. And I really want us to set an intention for that. Put our phones away. If you're on a computer at home because your video's not on, I can't see, turn off your second screen or close your other browsers. I really want your attention right now. It's going to be really important. All you have to do is just spend the next 45 minutes or so really focused on yourself. That's all I ask. I think that honors the people that are on the call. It honors me. I see some applause. What do you guys say? Like some nods, some yeses? Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll be on the honor system today, but I really appreciate that. And this level of intention, this level of focus, will make a huge difference in every area of your life. So this is something that you can just remind yourself when you're trying to accomplish something. It's a lot easier when you push everything away. So let's move forwards, set the intention that we're going to gain some clarity today. If you haven't met me before, or haven't attended one of my events, my name is Dr. Benjamin Ritter. I am the founder of LFY Consulting, Live for Yourself Consulting, and I mainly work with individuals to help them create a career that they can love. I also work with organizations. I'll craft some workshops and work with individual leaders to create organizations that people can love, but most of my time and energy is spent on working with individuals and helping them create a career that they can love. I have a background in organizational leadership with a focus on job satisfaction, engagement, and values alignment. I have a background in healthcare coaching and entrepreneurship as well. And all that kind of came together to create LFY Consulting. It's kind of a combination of all my talents as well as my values and my experiences that I've had in my life. I have a podcast out there too, if you want to hear more of my content. Live for Yourself Revolution. I have a workbook, I have a course and such. So been in the field now with this company almost 4 years, and coaching 10 years. So you want to contact me, my information is there as well. But one of my main missions and why I get up every morning and do the work that I do is to connect with others, which is why I host a lot of events, and then to help others learn and grow. So please just focus on taking one thing away from today's workshop, and I'll feel like we have achieved some success. So thank you for being here. So you guys kind of said hi initially. A couple of you said why you were here. But I believe in engagement, and I believe in getting to know everyone that's on the call. So how about we have a little bit of fun? And who would like to share what you wanted to be as a kid? When I was younger, I wanted to be an astronaut. So that like the SpaceX launch really made me happy. I was nerding out a little bit and was really sad when they had to scrub that first launch. And also I thought about becoming an archaeologist, which I learned later on in life that what I wanted to be, to dig up dinosaur bones, is not an archaeologist. And I don't remember the actual name for it, so I was wrong as a kid. So who would like to share a little bit? Just a few sentences about what you wanted to be as a kid.
Are we going chat?
If you don't want to talk, you can use the chat. But if you want to talk, we're all adults. You can just look for someone unmuting, and then just give respect to everyone that unmutes and such. So Brian, I think you were up, and then I think Philip would be next.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say when I was younger, my intentions were to become either a truck driver or yeah, a firefighter. But like obviously, life has its own plans, and gradually I have developed to become a mentor and an environmental advocate. So yeah.
Wow. And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, for me, I wanted to be a race car driver, and then I realized how much it cost to get a race car, and I knew how much my parents had to get me a race car, and that was nothing. So I had to go and change that up real quick. So I've basically angled things I've done in my life and my career. I mean, not my job per se, but things that I've been going to school for and whatever to go and work it towards racing. That's what I've been chasing. I'm still chasing.
Thank you for sharing that. Would anyone else like to share? Yeah, Sarah.
I'm Sarah. I wanted to be a hotel critic when I was a child. I really liked the idea of traveling and getting to stay in nice hotels for free. But I realized as I got older that that's probably a 1 in a trillion job. And I'm not very good at writing either. So it did not pan out.
Thank you for sharing that.
I'm along with Philip. I wanted to be a race car driver. I never made it to a point where we checked to see how much it even cost. It was so unrealistic from the beginning. But I did get stopped a couple of times for driving too fast. So kind of living that dream a little.
Just have decals on the side of your car, right? Would anyone else like to share?
Sure, I'm Anne. I was going to be a scientist, but mostly I just didn't want to be what everybody else in my small private Christian school was going to be, which was, teachers in this religion.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Maybe one more. Yeah, Carla.
At first I was going to say I didn't want to be anything, but if I moved it to high school, like before high school, I was clueless. I didn't know. I just wanted to grow up safely. It wasn't a very good home environment. I wanted to be, in high school, I wanted to be a pilot. I actually took the ASVAB. I was thinking I was going to go into the Air Force, and I'm glad I didn't. And then I wanted to be a marine biologist. I ended up becoming going into the biotech field. So at least I got that part of it.
Really interesting. Thank you for sharing. I think Candy, you unmuted. Did you want to share as well?
Yes, when I was a kid, I saw this movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and I decided I wanted to do something along those lines and work with space-related things. But then I also I thought I wanted to be a medical doctor. So I did work in the medical field for a little while as an occupational therapy assistant, and I did finally go on and get a doctorate, just not in the medical field. So, but it's interesting to see how things come around, in life.
Yeah, it really is. Thank you all for sharing, by the way. And it's interesting how, what we wanted to be might have played a little bit of a role in what we've done or what we've studied or what we've worked towards. Maybe not. But it isn't always the case that's what we're doing now. I think it's very rare for us I think it's very rare to find someone that says, when I was a kid, I wanted to be XYZ, and that's what I am now. And I couldn't have asked for anything else. I've never wanted anything else. And this relates because the big question that's probably on everyone's mind is, what's next, right? What should you do? And what should you do, like the big picture? Like, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? And no matter how old you are. But really, the question is, what's next? And what's next may not be what's after that. It might not be what's after that as well. So this big question that causes a lot of sometimes pain and stress and anxiety, and what also brings probably everyone to this call, almost doesn't really matter. I mean, I actually mentor a lot. I work with a lot of high school students and college students. And it really bothers me. I actually hope one day maybe to lecture, have a course in this. It really bothers me that kids are under an extreme amount of pressure today to know exactly what they want to do when they get out of school, and what they want to do should be extremely meaningful for them. And there's a really great book called Design Your Life, and also a really great book called So Good They Can't Ignore You. And those books have it right in terms of, it's not about knowing what you're going to do or what you ultimately will do. It's about building career capital and experiences, and that ultimately leads you down the path of what maybe is next. And I've created a system that I want us to kind of go over. We're going to go through it today, that helps you figure out what is next at any point in your life. So hopefully you have a good frame of what we're going to do moving forwards, because we're going to initially start talking about the career sweet spot, which is the system that's going to help you choose what is next at any stage in your career, at any point. And then to follow up, I'm going to send you an extra homework assignment to everyone. So you're getting more than what you bargained for, because I really hope to add some value. So watch your inbox. But basically, though, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, just kind of like what we were just doing. And if you attended any of my events, you know that's what I really, really love. I love asking questions. I love hearing from the people that are here. You're going to share. That's what makes this event possible. You're going to write some stuff down. Hopefully you all have something to write with, because we're going to be answering a lot of questions. We're going to be actually working on creating clarity. Like, what's the point of actually like hearing what to do, but not doing it? So let's do some stuff today. And then you're going to hopefully gain some clarity. Okay, nods. We feel good about that. Any questions? No? Okay, awesome. So the first step in this process is understanding what the career sweet spot is. We talked a little bit about how what you're going to do in your life isn't just one thing, right? Your career is, it is a sum of jobs. Like if you're at your age of retirement and you're looking back, you're not going to have one job. You're going to have multiple jobs. Your career is going to be a bunch of different milestones all put together to create this story. And we don't know what that story is going to look like until it's over with. So it doesn't exactly matter if you know what that one main thing is. It's not one thing, because a ton of different jobs can fit into what that one thing is. That one thing, that career, is just really an application of what you enjoy doing. Because what are you chasing when you're trying to figure out what your career sweet spot is? You're really looking for ways to be happier, for ways to be content, and to make some money doing it. And so too often we get stuck in the weeds of what is that job going to be? And we forget that we're chasing a job to really chase those feelings. And those feelings don't come from a job. They come from how we perceive the job. They come from, are we working in a field that we feel is meaningful, that aligns with our values? And so let's just understand that the sweet spot is going to always move. It's going to constantly change throughout your career. And that's okay, because what you're going to want to do and what you feel is meaningful is also going to evolve as you have more experiences. So let's remember that this sweet spot that we're developing is going to change at different parts in your life. So a year from now, you can ask yourself these same questions and figure out what's next. In 5 years, you can do the same. And you can even look back in some of your old jobs and see how this sweet spot played a role in you feeling good or not. So if any questions about that, the career, like any questions or lack of understanding in terms of that the career sweet spot is actually a moving target, that it evolves as you evolve. Okay, awesome. So let's get into it. There's three main areas that can be broken down into 4 specific questions that the career sweet spot is made up of. And we'll get into it as a whole after we go through each area. But what I'm going to ask for all of you to do right now is to actually answer some questions for yourself. And then if you feel like it, to please share. So the first area of the sweet spot that we're going to look at is what you've been trained to do. These are things that build confidence in you. Like you know that you are an expert in this field. You know that you've done it. You've either learned it, like you've gone to school for it. These are your strengths and your past experiences. And we all have at least 3 to 5 things that we probably can really bullet point out that are our strengths, that are our skills, that you can like literally be thrown into this in any new job or any new environment and just do it. It's just that easy for you. So take a few minutes and write down what those skills are. And depending on your experiences, depending on what, where you are in your career, these can be very, very different. And as you guys are writing and as you guys are thinking, would anyone like to share a little bit about one of their skills? For me personally, I'd say that one of my skills is coaching. And I didn't know that until I was given a professional job in that field. Initially, for me, it was just a personal passion. And then I got kind of headhunted into the realm and thrown into running a nationwide development program and realized that I was pretty good at it. But as I developed my own systems, I didn't have confidence in them. I had to actually implement my own systems with clients over time, like when I founded my own company, to gain confidence in it. So now I can say I've been trained to do it. Now I can say that it's one of my strengths. Now I can say that I'm fully confident in that. I'd also say one of my strengths is data analysis, because one of my positions was in healthcare as in quality improvement. So I can take data and I can make it tell a story. I could keep going, but I'd love for you guys to jump in.
One of my skills, I would say, is sales. I'm just a salesman. It's what I've done for years and years, so it comes fairly natural. I can probably jump into any new environment if I understand that I can sell it.
You see this pencil?
Yep.
I'm going to sell you this pencil. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I heard the confidence in that. And I heard like that you were so sure of that. And that's what I want people to think about. What are they so sure of? And so these are your skills. It's what you've been trained to do. Who else would like to share?
I'll share. I'm an education background, so but I didn't realize I'm also coach, but in the education field. But I didn't realize how good I was until I took on that more instructional coaching role, and I'm really good at working with people, and adults and children.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. I bet that comes out in other areas of your life too. The conversations with friends, family, even yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyone else like to share?
I can share.
Wonderful.
Okay. One of my skills is negotiating. And I didn't realize I was a negotiator until I was always pulled into the conflict resolution type situations at work. And then I started learning how I could apply that with contracts. My background is advertising. And so I got involved in negotiating and just started learning it for the past 20 years. And that's probably one of my most natural skill sets.
Thank you for sharing that. I love that. And what's interesting about all the skills that we're talking about, you can break them down. Like that one skill of negotiation can be broken down into probably like conflict resolution, relationship management, emotional awareness, self-regulation, patience. So all of a sudden now that one skill that you had that's very, very high level, just like coaching too is the same way. You can break those down to get more to the nitty gritty. And I highly would recommend that you all make a note to do that for yourself. To say, this is a strength that I perceive as something that I'm really good at, that I'm confident in. And then what's good about that is if you're confident in something, right, it actually brings a level of positivity within you. And so you feel good about what you're doing, which is important for finding work that you love. But you can break down these skills into more like smaller skills that allow you to kind of broaden your horizon and what could potentially be next for your career. So we feel like we have what you've been trained to do handled? Show of nods, hands, smiles. Awesome. Okay. We're going to move on to the second area of the career sweet spot. And this is what you love to do at work already. So I want all of you to think of 3 to 5 moments at work where you felt successful, proud, or accomplished, or happy at work. These are things that you enjoy doing. They may be related to your strengths. They may not be. But identify the tasks, like the individual assignments that you're doing at work that you love, or the broad category of assignments the people that you are involved in? Are they peers? Are they underneath you? Are they direct reports? Are they superiors, like managers and directors or VPs or executives? Are they clients? Are they customers? So who are the people as well? What environment might you be in? Do you love working from home? Do you love working in an office? So what is it specifically that you love about work? And I think very often we go, oh, I love meetings. Well, let's break that down a little bit more. And let's understand what's actually underneath that. So I can give you guys a few minutes to answer this question as well. And you can just get started. And sometimes if you feel like, okay, I've written enough and maybe I want to sidebar this and start it later, then I recommend that as well. But then let's start sharing, because I want to hear from you guys too. So what do you love to do at work? Personally, I love coaching conversations. I love the actual client sessions that I have. I love hosting the actual events that I put on. And I can look at that and say, oh, I value transformations. I value connection. I value learning. But I find that I have a difficult time with the follow-up and different things like that. And knowing what you also don't like can help you kind of navigate towards what you actually love to do, can lead to actually those bullets. And and thank you for your note, Samantha. If what you love to do is talk to your clients, even I'd say ask yourself, is there a specific time of day that you love talking to your clients? Are there specific clients that you love to talk to? Do they have certain attributes or traits? Are there certain issues that your clients struggle with or focus with, or problems that you're solving when you're talking to those clients? And so really get down again to the details of what you love to do at work. Would anyone like to share what they're coming up with?
I can share.
Right.
I love solving problems and then creating kind of a solution and seeing it through, and to see kind of the solution that you provided actually works or has like helped something. And that solves the problem.
And so I'd ask even more, like, what types of problems is there a certain frame of time that you like? Is it these short-term problems, long-term problems, medium length? I
like coming up with systems for the long run instead of like putting out fires. I work in the HR field, so a lot of the problems that I come across are usually people problems or or system problems in terms of how the company operates. So yeah, and I kind of value that cohesive team environment. Yeah.
I love that. I just want to dissect it more, but I'm going to pause on that and let you kind of work through that even more for yourself, because I think that will lead you towards a lot of the things that you want more of in work, in the next stage. It's, what's interesting about these questions too. So like we talked about strengths. We're talking about what you love to do at work now too. These can actually become questions that you ask in interviews. So think about that for yourself, and you're learning right now about what you actually need in your next position, and how can we integrate this in our search? How can we integrate this in the conversations we're having? Who can we find that knows more about these topics, these areas? How can we interview the next organization or for that next position for ourselves? Would anyone else like to share what they love to do at work before we move on to another category?
I'll go. Goes back a few years based on my job when I was an academic advisor. I found that I like to teach. I never really knew that. I was able to teach and help people. So in that sense, and advise. So that was something that I found that I was actually good at, or I made me feel good about myself. So I think that was one thing.
And thank you for sharing that. And if you were to go a level deep, like a little bit deeper in that, what would you come up with for yourself? How if you were to break that down a little bit more?
I mean, I would say that because I think the teaching and the advising part, I think it's also self-introspection for me in terms of some of the changes that I've had to make in recent years. But being able to communicate ideas and being able to explain things in a clear and concise manner and in a way that everyone can understand, or not just a one-on-one interaction, but in a group interaction, and being able to make productive changes and make progress, in a time or with someone when they may not feel as though that they're in a place where they can make that progress. Getting them out of the rut, per se,
I love that, because there's definitely a relationship that is unique when it comes to teaching. Could that be the same through mentoring? Could it be what types of groups of people do you like teaching? What do you like to see accomplished from that teaching? And this will, again, lead you more towards the answers that you need to figure out what the next step is. So thank you all for joining me in this category as well. We're going to move into the next area of the career sweet spot. And you may find that some of the things that you love to do at work actually relate to what matter most to you in life. And this is a little bit of a broader, what's important to you? Like where have you felt like you've had purpose or made an impact in your life? And can you think of any times, not just at work, but in your life where you felt really happy or in a state of flow? So think about your why, I guess is another way to really describe it. How do you know that you're making an impact for yourself, for the world? What is it that you're doing? And you can think back on memories where you were the happiest. Then this may lead you to some of those answers. Further exploration of this involves like diving into your values. And this may be different than what you love to do at work right now, because maybe you're not working in a position that fully relates and is aligned with your values, which isn't surprising if we're looking for more clarity as well. For me personally, what matters most in my life is actually empowering other people to realize that they are in control of their own lives. I'd say that was probably my number one, like, this is like, I care deeply about this. This is what I need to do. And that can be broken down into a lot of different values, such as health, openness, justice, trust, passion. Would anyone like to share? I know I haven't given you a lot of time to really dive into this, but you might have already know it. You might be here to figure out how to actually start working in the things that matter most to you. And it's okay if nothing comes up right now. This is actually a really tough question. And a lot of times people spend a lot of their life trying to find this. A really simple activity, if this question is giving you a hard time, is to list out 5 of your most happiest memories in your life. Really just detail them out. And then look for similarities or themes between those memories. When you, let me just finish this. Just a quick description real quick. Thank you though. I'm looking forward to you sharing. And then look where you feel energized from those memories and what themes and similarities are in those memories. And then look at those like anti-memories, memories where you weren't happy, memories that you felt stuck and unfulfilled and drained. And then look for similarities between those memories. And then what are the opposite of those memories? And you can actually end up with a list of values from that, a list of where do I feel energized? Where do I feel most in flow? And then how do I define who I am? And you can really find some of the things that matter most to you in life just through that, because our values are created through our experiences. Okay. And I know we had someone that wanted to share. Kelly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's odd because I realized from the last question of what do I like to do at work, I'm actually doing at work, even though it's totally not my job, is the same thing that matters most to me, and that's being able to help fix people. I'm a lot like a combination between Elaine and Philip. I love to fix things. I see things as systems, and in my mind, there's a high or an enjoyment or something that happens when you're able to help someone solve a problem. And when I'm doing it at work, a lot of times it has to do with fixing work-related problems, sales problems, things of that sort. But when I find that I am the most happy, almost euphoric, is when I'm in that zone where I'm helping someone through, I wouldn't say teaching or mentoring, but being a companion and helping them to kind of work through places where the reasoning is off or they're having a difficulty. And for me, when they have that aha moment, it's better than probably any sort of feeling I can imagine. It's a beautiful thing for me.
Thank you for sharing that. Would anyone else like to share?
I was going to say, is it possible that the thing that you value the most and it does give you energy, but later you crash from that very thing? Like, I love people. I absolutely love helping them. And I'll be energized in the moment and, feeling fantastic. And then a couple hours later, I'm like, I just have so much to dissipate and I don't know how to dissipate it. So I don't know if anybody else struggles with that, but that's one of my things. It's like, I love helping people and I love helping kids and things. And it's just like, it takes a toll sometimes.
Mm-hmm. We all have our limits. We all have our limits.
I can very relate to that. I think part of it is also making sure you are taking care of yourself and knowing where your limits are. Because I find people who love to help others sometimes give more than they realize. And then it's only until afterwards you crash and you're like, oh my God, I've been taking care of everyone else, but I forgot about myself. So I think it takes practice and recognition and self-awareness.
I think we sometimes lose focus that everything that we're doing in our life is because it feels good for us to do. Like, we want to work with people because that is important to us. And ultimately, though, if we do it to a point where we're drained and empty, then we're actually working against our own passion and our own interest, because then we've hurt ourselves. So always keep in mind that everything we're doing, and if you're pushing against this, then I'd ask you to explore it. But everything we're doing is ultimately so we feel good, or we feel contentment. We feel like we're serving some part of us. So no matter what, always put yourself first in that regard. Always say, what are my limits? What are my boundaries? What do I need right now? And then often we drain ourselves because we don't celebrate our successes. We don't actually give ourselves recognition for what we are accomplishing. We think we need to do more, we need to do more, we need to do more. So can you celebrate yourself a little bit more? Can you figure out what boundaries you want to set for yourself? You can say, this is good enough right now. And say, this is work time, this is friend time, this is me time. And understand that we are multiple components and not just our work.
Yeah, this is something that I know I personally have struggled with. I feel like I'm in my flow when I'm sitting down and I'm doing counseling or I'm doing coaching or I'm helping people. And it feels really good. And the day goes by really fast, when this is happening. But then at the end of the day, like somebody else said, I just crash. And, I heard someone say last week something about protecting your energy. It's like, I feel like when I'm doing this, it's zapping all my energy, and that I have to do a better job in protecting my energy and maybe setting boundaries and things like that. Just a thought.
It takes some practice as a coach. I can 100%, I hear what you're saying, because I've struggled with it. And it's about understanding that just because you're helping someone doesn't mean you have to absorb what they're giving you or what they're putting out there. You don't have to give them your energy. You're there as someone that's a support and guidance and such. And I personally believe that there are some flows energetically, that can come from working with individuals one-on-one. So be aware of that and set some boundaries. And it's going to take some trial and error, but most importantly, it's loving yourself first, finding time for self-care, understanding what your boundaries are, And then we're also working with people that you actually find enjoyable, honestly. It's not just working with everyone, it's figuring out your ideal client. Yeah, so let's put a pin in that. If you want to explore that further, feel free to send me a message on it or connect with people on the call, because I think they can relate. The next area that's part of the career sweet spot is what you want to learn and where you feel challenged. I think often this is very much overlooked. And this is really please take some time to write down and identify experiences that you'd like to have in the future. Who would you like to meet? Who would you like to work with? What types of projects would you like to come across? What opportunities, thinking about them, that might not really be in your wheelhouse right now, get you excited? What types of organizations, if you would say these are my dream organizations to work with, pop up in that list? What's left kind of on your work bucket list, so to speak? Think about this as, if I was to connect with people to learn about careers and jobs, these are the people that I'd want to connect with. These are the people that I would have like 5 to 10 questions with. These are the organizations that I'd actually go and tour if I had the opportunity to. I'd be willing to spend time on this organization's website. And for people that this might have popped up right away for them, I'd love to hear some of your thoughts. For me, I know that I want to speak to people that have spoken on stages in like auditoriums and like athletic stadiums. And so it's very different, right? I've spoken online to like 50, 60, 100,000 people, but that's not the same as speaking in person. And I would love to speak with people that have been on those like international, national stages. I'd also love to speak to organizations that are really advocating for food policies and public health policies in different ways. And these are things that I know that get me excited and that I know that I want in my life and that I'm working towards. And that's just a brief overview of kind of where what I want to learn and where I feel challenged. How's everybody doing? Nod for me if we're feeling good. Are we stuck? I see some nods. Okay, awesome. Have any questions about the question itself? No? Okay. Let's hear one thing. Lori, what are you thinking? What comes to mind?
For me, I really would like to travel a lot, so I'd like and work with different cultures and people of different cultures. So I'd like to speak to someone who's successfully done that.
Okay, and that sounds like it could be anything that has to do with working cross-culturally, globally, and involving travel. And I even get more specific and say, well, what places excite you? What types of cultures excite you? And can you get more specific there and use that to have a little bit more targeted outreach?
And I speak French, and I like to find something where I can use my French, so where I can use language and learn Spanish probably also.
There you go. I mean, there's even more direction there. I want to use my French and I want to learn Spanish. I think we're narrowing it down a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Okay. And just respect of time, put a pin in this if you still have some work to do. And we're going to move forwards to kind of put it all together. So the categories that we just went over: create your career sweet spot. And remember, this is the moving target. This is something that at any point in your career, you can stop and say, what have I been trained to do right now? What do I love to do at work and in life? And where do I want to go next? What do I want to learn? Where do I feel challenged? And who do I want to meet? And if you don't have all these areas, you'll find that things are lacking. You will end up feeling stuck. Like, for example, what you've been trained to do gives you a sense of confidence. What you love to do at work and life gives you a sense of meaning. But all of a sudden now you won't feel challenged. And that's really important to actually feeling fulfillment from work. Or let's say you actually are in a place where you're challenged, what you want to learn, where you feel like you're here, you're trying new things each and every day, you feel creative and innovative, and it's what you love to do at work and in life. Like you feel passionate about it, but you don't actually feel good at it. You haven't been trained to do it. You're going to go through a pretty tough time. You're not going to feel very confident. And if you don't have the right recognition and appreciation and support and training, you will end up leaving that position or just constantly be stressed and anxious all the time. And so each of these categories is really important for you to actually figure out what could be next. And so use this sweet spot. Use it to really assess opportunities. Use it to assess who you're going to call up on the phone and talk to about their journey. Use it to help narrow your search. Because I promise you, if you find this sweet spot, that you will feel like your work is meaningful. You'll feel more fulfilled. You'll feel happier. I'll even say if you're in a job right now, how can you utilize this sweet spot to improve it? Is it taking a course to feel more confident in what you're doing and getting training and certifications? Is it molding your job, crafting it to incorporate more of the stuff that you love to do and delegate some of the stuff that you don't love doing? Or is it taking on new projects or working with people cross department or other organizations so that you feel more challenged at work itself? And so use this sweet spot, use this bullseye to make your next career decisions, your next job, so you can answer the question, what should you do next? So let's put it all together, summarize it all up. Who would like to share what could potentially be next for you? Putting it all together, what have you been trained to do, what you love, what matters most to you, what you want, where you want to be challenged, what could potentially be next for you? And I know you might want to put some more thought into this, and I highly suggest it, going back and really fleshing some of these areas out. But what comes to mind, top of mind? What are we thinking?
Hi there. So what I'm thinking is currently I work with a lot of clients, and I would like to start working with people more individually and help them negotiate like their salaries, not so much in terms of working with people, but just helping people empower themselves in that arena, in that area.
And so what's something you can do moving forwards next on the list to make this more to happen?
I think it's probably thinking about some type of consulting or coaching or putting all of the content together, all the information I know about negotiations, so that I can apply it to specific individuals versus clients. Something of that nature. Not quite sure yet, but.
Okay. Who's one person you might be able to talk to help give you some guidance and direction here?
Oh. Well, you would be one, I guess, for one.
Yeah.
Just being in that career space. So.
And I'm willing to talk. So.
Cool.
I think we got a next step.
I'm putting that on my to-do.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to share what could potentially be next? I did this because this is a moving target. I did this about 6 months ago for myself because I didn't feel challenged anymore. And what came from this work was a realization that I wanted a larger global impact. And I wanted to connect with people that were outside of my network, people that were of a different income level, a much higher income level that I didn't have access to because of my upbringing and my own experiences. And I ended up taking action. And about 3 months ago, I ended up becoming part of an organization called YPO, where I work globally and I work directly with young CEOs. So the things that you come up with, if you actually take action and let them kind of become your divining rod, you can create some pretty incredible new milestones in your life. But it's about committing to them and just taking small steps, talking to that one person, right? Going to that one event with that organization, changing who you apply for in terms of jobs, changing the questions that you ask in job interviews to include some of these things, what you love to do, what your strengths are. Would one more person like to share before we wrap it up? I like how Susan said, thinking about how it's more about the parts of the whole instead of one big thing. Very much so. We're building career capital, guys. We don't exactly know what we want to do ultimately, because once we get it, we're going to want something next. It's things that we love are always going to evolve. Even if it's in the same industry or doing something similar, we are usually looking for new challenges, looking for ways to innovate, looking for ways to be more creative, and looking for someone maybe that has done something next. Yeah, Carla.
I like the point you make about it kind of being a moving target, and as we grow or evolve and learn new things, that there's always going to be another thing that we're going to strive for. I mean, that's a good point. And reaching out to others who have done it, or thinking about where you see yourself and finding people like that. That's a good point.
If you have an inkling of wanting something else, and by answering these questions, you now have a stronger indication of what that something else is, the longer you sit in that, maybe I should do something, the less we're going to enjoy of our day-to-day and the moments that we have each and every day. And the more resentful we're going to become towards our current job and our current work and our current life. And that's no way to live. So if we know we want to do something, we know that we just want to get a taste of it, what's one thing that you can do next now to learn a little bit more about it or take a little extra step towards it? And I promise you, if you add more of that into your life, all you will do is gain greater clarity and feel good about the fact that you're taking some action. So I challenge you to do that. And I know, Carla, you wanted to say something?
I was just going to say, I don't have the big picture yet, but what I am doing is attending some workshops, some other workshops, and I ended up investing in another 21-day program to actually work on some, it's a really great program. So I don't know exactly where it's going to end me up, but I'm meeting people along the way and just having dialogues with people, and I know it's going to pay off in time. I still keep getting recruiters trying to pull me into my old job, but first of all, it's on the other side of the city, and that's not helpful, but that's not where I want to end up. But I could always go back to that if I'm really stuck. But I feel like I'm on the verge of a breakthrough because I am taking these steps, but it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think you brought something up in terms of safety. I think we all need to feel safe. We all need to give ourselves a moment to say, I've worked before. I know how to make money. Great. Cool. We all know how to make money. So now let's make some money doing what we love, or at least try it out for a little bit. You can always go back to it. So let's open it up for questions. Do we have any questions? I know we were kind of hitting on some questions there for a little bit, but I'm also willing to, if people have to leave, I'm also willing to field questions if you want to email them to me as well. But I wanted to give everyone a chance.
Yes, I do have one. It's really kind of a funny coincidence. I got into a very similar conversation about this earlier with the guy on LinkedIn, and he was kind of making a point that, yeah, if you find if you find your why, you find this thing that you love, you don't always have to do it to make money. You can find it and, just feeling fulfillment. So do you think that those two need to go together? Do we need to, if we find something on this list that we create and maybe something that we're not necessarily, you know, I'm 43, good chance I don't want to go back to school to be a doctor. But at this point, if I didn't, can I, do I get the same sort of fulfillment if I decide to go volunteer at a hospital or, you know, depending on
Mhm.
whatever my reasoning is?
And I love how you added that little bit there in terms of volunteer at a hospital, because a lot of times we get very stuck in what we think we want to do instead of breaking down what we think we want to do into its actual components, like the values that are attributed to it. So in terms of the medical field and being a clinician is, you know, is it the status? Is it have, you know, is it working in healthcare, working in the medical field itself? Is it creating a positive health outcome for individuals? Is it the knowledge that you would learn during that time? And so can you break this down into its individual components and say, I'm just going to rank order these and figure this out? Because I know that I don't want to go back to school. I know I don't want to spend the money on this. I'm just going to rank order the different components that I really enjoy. Now, top 3, how do I get those without becoming a doctor? And how do I make money doing that? And how do these potentially relate to my strengths and the things I love to do at work and the challenges that I want to see in my life? And then we get very stuck sometimes in actual professions where there's a lot of things we could do in the medical field, even working with clinicians, that might give you the same fulfillment. I mean, I have no medical degrees other than my MPH, my Master's in Public Health and Health Policy. So I have no clinical degrees, but I was working in a hospital as a group systems analyst, and my job was to lead projects that became nationwide pilots that were improving clinical outcomes for patients, that were basically changing how people operate in a hospital. I have no medical background. So, and for me, that was like unbelievably fulfilling. And I'd say like there's a lot of other opportunities like that might touch all those points and those values that you find from the medical profession as being a clinician. I don't know if that helped, that answer the question a little bit.
For the most part, I do wonder if we do need to have the finance part attached to it. Does it need to be something I make money at to get that same fulfillment, or can they be two separate things?
I personally agree that believe that it can be two different things, but we always do need to perceive what we're doing as meaningful. If we're on this call, so I assume we all want more meaningful work, right? I think there's a group of people that maybe are okay without having that, but I also think they perceive their work differently than maybe everyone on this call does. I bet you anything that there are some janitors out there that feel that their work is extremely meaningful and they enjoy it based on the connections they have, the fact that they're impacting children's education, maybe there are other benefits that they truly enjoy, where some people on this call may not be able to actually create that perception for themselves. So I'd say it's not actually always working in a field that you feel like you need to work in. It's a lot of times perceiving the work you're doing in a way that you would perceive as meaningful for yourself. So thank you for that. And I would love having this conversation. Feel free to literally reach out to me. I'd love to keep this going. I could talk about this for days. If anyone has any questions for me, please reach out and send them my way. And in respect of all your time, I'm just going to quickly kind of go over some next steps for everyone. So I'm going to be emailing you the second part of this presentation with a worksheet. And it's going to be about future mapping. And this is for you to figure out not just what's next, but what could potentially be next, and after that, and next, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's going to help you go through a few different journeys for yourself to figure out what a career path might be. And you'll be able to then see the different similarities between that career path that you can start acting on right now, to lead you there. So it's going to also give you all a little bit more clarity. And I'll send that on. If you have any questions about it, feel free to respond to me, because the instructions may not be that, they may need some clarity themselves. So feel free to respond to that email with specific questions, but there's going to be a worksheet and an extra assignment for everybody. So I've had some questions. I've asked you what you're going to do next. I'm going to send you an assignment. Hopefully you all have gained a little bit more clarity. So watch your inbox. Please connect with me on other platforms. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I post a lot of content on YouTube, especially related to job satisfaction and engagement and career. If you're interested in coaching, stick around. I'll answer some questions if you have any. or you can just schedule an appointment with me. My calendar is open for anyone that would like to book some time, or you can go to my website to find out more about coaching programs and such if you want to dive into these topics a little bit more deeply. But also, if you do email me with some questions, it doesn't mean I'm not going to be trying to sell you. I'm just going to be listening. We're going to have a conversation, so don't worry about that. I only sell people that ask me to be sold. So I'm going to be sticking around for a little bit. If you have to leave, you have to leave. I want to respect your time. If you have some extra questions, you feel free to ask them now. Yeah, Lauren.
Is there, do you have like your top 3 books you would recommend on this subject, or your top 1?
Yeah, I probably would have 2 that I would highly recommend right off the top of my head. And the first one would be So Good They Can't Ignore You. I believe that's by Kel Newport. Very much talks about career capital and the career journey, that it's not, that there are individual milestones, that it's all parts of a greater whole, and the greater whole actually will not become apparent to us until we actually experience the parts. And then Design Your Life, which is a pretty famous, it's written by, is it Stanford professors, I believe, who had a class and a workshop on how to create a life that is truly meaningful for you. And it talks a lot about career clarity.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any other questions?
You mentioned something earlier about, I guess, different, I don't know, alternates. I forget exactly how you said it. Different ways for earning income, or like keeping your job and earning income, or something you said toward the beginning. That might be a different workshop. But.
So I'll just ask for some clarification. Are you just asking for me to speak a little bit more about how to earn money doing more things?
Yeah, and kind of how you balance all that.
Mm-hmm. So what holds a lot of people back is that they feel like, you know, if they do anything, they have to do it 40 hours a week or 60 hours a week or 80 hours a week. And so it looks to them to be too much to do, right? You hold yourself back. You talk yourself out of doing things. The only person that's responsible for you not doing something, right, is yourself. No one else is responsible for you not taking action. And so I'd say when it comes to starting a side hustle and earning some extra money, there are a ton of resources out there. And I can suggest a couple websites if you want to talk offline about that. But just overall, it's, what is the one thing I want to make money doing? Who wants to buy that? Can I sell them? Remember, the only thing holding you back from actually selling anyone anything is you asking them to buy it. Now that means, what is my message, right? How am I relating to them? What do they, how do they frame their issues, their problems for the thing that they want? And that, right, that dictates how you actually speak to them, how you reach out to them, how you sell them. So it's really understanding what you love to do, what that means for in terms of a product, who could potentially be the person to buy it. And then all you have to do is have conversations with those people. I'd say one of the simplest discovery kind of outlines for a sales conversation, and we had a sales guy on the call, I should have asked him to say this too, but it's, what's the problem?
And the solution.
And then there you go, Eric. So it's what's the problem, but then you have them actually reiterate the problem, and then you tell them what the problem is. You say, so this is the problem, right? And then you have them agree. So they're agreeing to this is the problem. And then you explain what the solution might be. And then you ask them, so does this seem like a solution? And they agree, yep, I see that's the solution. And then all you have to ask is, well, do you want my help with that? And so that, I mean, that's a lot of times when it comes to service-based businesses, it's as simple as connecting with an individual and then having them believe that you understand their issue better than them, because you're going to be simplifying and reiterating it back to them. So all the stuff they're going through in their mind, all the confusion and all the issues that they're having, you've just told them straight up in simple language. And now I believe that you understand what the issue is. And then now you're speaking to me to figure out what the solution is. And then I'm agreeing that you understand the solution and that you could offer it. And then now you just have to basically ask for the sale. And sales is literally that easy. It's getting the trust of somebody.
Yep.
For them to prove that you know what the solution is, and then hopefully, being in their price range. So it has to also be someone. It has to be someone that can afford whatever you're selling, and so you have to know what their affordability is, and you have to understand who you're having conversations with, and that's where your target market comes in. I think often we see selling something or as starting this massive business. You don't need to start a 6-figure business. All you need to do is find one client. Do you know one person? Do you know one person that has the issue that you're trying to solve? And can you have conversations with them? And if that person doesn't want to buy from you, can you go have conversations with another person? Because there's no rejection. It's just you trying things out and selling things to people. And if they want to buy, wonderful. If they don't want to buy, okay. So you try someone else. And you've learned probably from that conversation itself as well.
Okay, thank you.
Does that help a little bit?
Yeah, that helps. That helps.
Okay. I got a little bit preachy. I got on my soapbox.
that helps.
I know Eric was nodding. How you feeling, Eric? What do you think? Hold on one sec. I think you're muted. Wait, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to unmute. There we go.
So yeah, I just wanted to start by saying thank you. I thought this was awesome. I think you covered a lot of topics. I think you did really well. I just kind of wanted to touch on Candy's last point, is that also a lot of people think that they need to exchange their time for money. Also try and figure out how to make your money work for you, right? So if that's, an online savings account that has a high interest rate, or investing in stocks, investing in real estate, make your money work for you instead of working for your money. But I just wanted to touch on that. I'm not trying to jump in too much, but I think I just wanted to thank you, Ben. I think you did a really good job today. And I look forward to doing the next activity with you.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric.
Actually, Ben, I do have another question.
Yeah.
In starting starting when you first, because I know you've done coaching for many years. Did you find that you had to, when you started, did you have to have a lot of content up front? Or did you just, write articles, or kind of how did you start with that?
Yeah, and I think this is a great lead into the fact that I'm hosting a coaches panel at the end of the month. I'm going to have like 5 different coaches on a panel. We're going to be answering these questions about how to actually start a coaching business for yourself. If that's what you're interested in. But honestly, I'm going to keep it simple, because I could go into a lot of different things right now. I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to say, figure out how you want to coach, what your structure is, what your template is. Go find people to do it to for free. At the same time, start selling your program out in the world. Find people with the problem and just have conversations with them and ask them for the sale while you're trying things out for free and learning. And eventually, you'll find someone that wants to buy from you, and that will just build momentum on itself. So the first thing you have to do, and I know some people may say like, well, what else? And it's literally just sell. Start putting yourself out there, start putting your message out there, because the only way to learn what message resonates with anybody is to actually start putting the message out there and testing out your program. And there's so much more I could say to this topic, but that's literally where you should start. If you haven't started coaching yet, you're not a coach. Once you start coaching, you can call yourself a coach and start learning and developing your business. And I think that's probably a really good lead in to say, if you have any other questions, please send them my way. I answer everything. I'm very, very, very available in terms of serving my audience. But if anyone has any specific questions about my coaching programs, feel free to ask them now.